everyone, welcome to the CGBMentors platform. So today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Saurabh, who has recently cleared RBI Grade B 2025 examination. So first of all, Saurabh, many congratulations on your great achievement. How are you feeling right now?
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, it's a very happy feeling to have achieved whatever I was working for the past 3 years.
Okay. So Saurabh, I just want you to give a brief introduction about you so that our students can actually relate with you.
Okay. So, ma'am, I graduated from College of Engineering Pune in 2020 with
Okay.
BTech degree in mechanical engineering.
Hmm.
Post that, I prepared for UPSC for 2 years
Okay.
and I couldn't clear mains, so I shifted to private sector where I was working as an analyst.
Okay.
And in the meantime, I also came to know about RBI Grade B exam from my father, and I found that this role is an interesting one and aligns with my interests. So I started preparing for it, and from 2023 I have been preparing for it, where in the first attempt I missed the final selection by 0.25 marks, and this time I have finally cleared the exam.
Okay. Saurabh, so after listening to your introduction, जैसे आपने बताया कि 2023 थे, you have started preparation,
Yeah.
and जैसे मैंने आपको biodata भी देखा, you missed the final selection by just 0.25 marks, right? And in the second attempt also, you couldn't make it, right? So I just want to know, like, how did you motivate yourself in, how did you manage that setbacks? Because एक के बाद एक, क्योंकि आपने यूपीएससी दिया, देन उसके बाद आरबीआई दिया, इंटरव्यू भी दिया, फिर उसके बाद सेकंड अटेम्प्ट भी नहीं हुआ, देन हाउ डिड यू मैनेज ऑल योर सेटबैक्स?
Um, Ma'am, there is a story that my friend used to tell me whenever I used to feel depressed, that it's about the bamboo story where it doesn't grow even an inch for 5 years, and after that it starts shooting up. It grows by even inches and foots in within a week. So that used to motivate me that even if my efforts of years has not yielded any result till now, but there will be a time when it will start giving me results. So that story always used to keep me motivated.
Okay, that's great. So basically, you just meant to say that consistency will definitely give you the result. You just have to be patient, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you have mentioned that you are a working professional, right? So आपका day तो बहुत hectic होता होगा. So how you used to manage everything like work, preparation? Then we have a number of responsibilities as well. So आप अपना time कैसे manage करते थे पूरे दिन?
Ma'am, so first of all, like my day usually starts at 11. So I used to make sure that I wake up early and use the time till 11 a.m.
Okay.
So that gives me a fresh part of the day to prepare for my syllabus. Apart from that, I usually had that work from home option for
Okay.
2 or 3 days a week. So whenever I'm working from home, if I have completed my work, I used to utilize that time as well. And there are small things like few people study while traveling. I used to make sure that I visit offices on odd times so that I reduce my travel time from 1 hour to 30 minutes so that I get that extra 30 minutes. So these are minor things which can make sure that you get 30 minutes or an hour extra on a daily basis, which results into a lot of hours on a long scale, like or a 3 to 4 month scale.
Yes, exactly. So basically, you used to take very small steps on a daily basis, right?
Yes.
Everyone thinks कि हमें तो कुछ बहुत बड़ा ही step लेना पड़ेगा, then only we will be able to manage everything,
Yes,
right?
but it's
So
most
आप
about consistency, I feel.
Yes, exactly. Okay, Saurabh. So let's begin with the strategy part. Okay. So we have phase one, we have phase two, and then interview. So we will start with the phase one strategy first. Okay. So in phase one, as we all know, we have 4 subjects: general awareness, quantitative aptitude, reasoning. Then we have English, right? So first we will be talking about general awareness section because it is a pain point of many aspirants, right? So how did you manage this particular segment? And yes, what kind of sources you have referred specifically for general awareness?
Okay. So, ma'am, for general awareness, there are few key areas from which majority of the questions are coming. For example, RBI's reports, RBI's circulars, some of the schemes, and then few basics from ES and finance as well. So these are few areas which I ensure that I do not leave any stone unturned.
Okay.
And apart from that, I also refer to the current affairs materials or the PIB materials that CGB was providing.
Okay.
Also, the top 100 MCQs that CGB provides, apart from the Brahmastra series PDFs, that helped a lot in this preparation.
Okay. So many of the aspirants are actually confused, like for how many months we should do current affairs, like for how many months we should cover our current affairs, right? So did you have this month wala strategy in your mind, or you were like, कि नहीं जो भी है अभी जितने month है I will do it?
No, ma'am. I definitely had that month wala strategy because, like, being a working professional, we have limited time. So we have to make sure that we are at least grabbing the low hanging fruits first. Then we can move on to further months.
Yeah.
But so my strategy was to cover 4 to 6 months of current affairs for the phase one, and for
Okay.
phase two, it was about 6 to 8 months of current affairs.
Okay, so for phase one, 4 to 6 months, and for
Yes.
phase two, you were like 6 to 8 months, right?
Yes.
So, okay. Okay, now I just want to talk about reasoning because in your second attempt, you couldn't clear the sectional cutoff for reasoning, right?
Yes.
So, how did you manage that section? Like in 2023, you were able to clear it, right? But in
Yes.
2024, you couldn't make it. So, in 2025, what you have done extra to make that section work for you this time?
Yes. So, ma'am, one thing that from 23 to 24, one thing that changes the sectional cutoff of reasoning has shot up. So, it used to be 9, in 2024, it became 15. So, I changed, and basically, there are enough questions which can help us cross that cutoff. But my mindset was kind of wrong, where I was just thinking that it will be in 9 to 10 or 12 range.
Okay,
So,
okay.
I changed that mindset that I should be able to give my best in that given 45 minutes of time, and not being fixated around one particular cutoff. So I changed that mindset. That's the first thing. And second is question selection, because for quant and reasoning, there are enough number of questions that can help you clear the cutoff. But in that 45 or 25 minutes of time, if we select a wrong question or a wrong set, we end up wasting 5 or 10 minutes of our time. And coming back from that setback is very difficult in that exam hall.
Yes,
So
exactly.
question selection during the mocks is the most important thing, and I have practiced a lot on that.
Okay, so what was your strategy of question selection specifically in reasoning?
Ma'am, in reasoning, I feel there are few very low-hanging fruits, such as the directions, or even in some cases the series, or the there are questions regarding relations. So I used to make sure that when I look at the question paper, for the first 2 to 3 minutes, I was just noting down the question numbers which I'll
Okay.
attempt in the first attempt. So after I'm done with those questions, I knew that I have at least 7 8 questions cleared. So I have to attempt 7 8 more in the remaining time, and these first 7 8 questions used to come in the first 12 or 15 minutes. So I had an half hour left, so I could take some risk if I wanted to.
Okay.
So this grabbing the low hanging fruits in the first 10 15 minutes is the most important thing, because that gives us confidence. Otherwise, if
Exactly.
we attempt a very difficult one in the first few minutes, then even the simpler ones we are not able to attempt in the remaining time.
Okay. So what about puzzles? Have you solved any puzzle?
Ma'am, I have tried it multiple times, but
Okay.
personally, puzzles don't work for me. So
Okay.
it depends from candidates to candidate, candidate to candidate, because uh, even in multiple mocks, I was never able to attempt like solve them in a limited time. I could do it, but one puzzle would take me 20 30 minutes, and that is not
Okay.
a very good ratio. So I had a strategy that out of the 60 questions there were in reasoning, I would totally skip 25 or 30 of them. So
Okay.
my target section was just the remaining 30 or 35 questions.
Okay, understood. Okay, now let's talk about quantitative aptitude. Again, many of the aspirants are actually worried about this section. How was this section for you? Was it easy or doable for you?
Ma'am, yes, I think this section, I mean, maths has been my strength since the early period. So this was never a concern. I just had to focus on practicing a lot, giving multiple mocks, and making sure that I am not picking the wrong question or spending too much time on any question compared to my competitors. And I think mocks have this facility of showing average time and my time. So I used to compare that all the time, that if I
Okay.
am spending more time than my competitors on an average basis, so I would look back into the solutions and see if there is an alternative method which
Okay,
can be.
so basically, I can understand after hearing a lot of things. Like for quant and reasoning, you already had developed the strategy. कि okay, आपने पहले ही सोच रखा था कि that for the first few minutes I'm going to see कि ठीक है कौन से questions मुझे solve करने हैं,
Yes.
right? And फिर किन questions पे मुझे risk लेना है नहीं लेना, right? So
Yes.
everything you decided earlier only, right?
Yes.
So इससे ही पता लगता है सारे aspirants को mock अच्छे से solve करना चाहिए और अपनी strategy खुद से बनाने हैं, right?
Yes.
Okay, GA में एक चीज मैं पूछना भूल गई. GA में क्या है that we have to read n number of things, right? We have to rote learn a lot of facts and figures. Like how you used to retain everything, because it's very difficult to retain a lot of content. How you used to figure out कि ठीक है ये ज़्यादा important है, I will focus on this particular thing, और इन चीज़ों को मुझे याद रखना है, तो what you used to do to revise everything, to retain everything?
Ma'am, one thing over there, first of all, that like since this is a competitive exam, so there is like unsaid rule of competitive exam that if 90% of your competitors are not able to attempt a particular question, it's fine if you are not able to do it.
Okay,
But if
okay.
90% of your competitors are able to do it, then you
हाँ.
should be able to do it. So we should not expect it from ourselves that we'll be able to do everything, because it's not humanly possible. There are a lot of factual questions coming in the phase 1 of GA part.
True.
So my focus was first on that part, that I should be able to solve these questions which my competitors are able to, and after that obviously we should be able to get an edge over our competitors, because that's how only we'll be able to clear the cutoffs. So first part was on doing the easy things, and then for retaining things, multiple revisions was the one thing, and second is even from the reports or even the summary notes that the CGB or any other platform that a candidate is using, from even from those summary notes, I feel we should have some handwritten or maybe digitally typed notes, because that is something that you have made, so you have put in some effort and time into it,
Yes,
and
exactly.
that helps in retaining the things rather than just reading it as it is or just highlighting, because we tend to forget those things compared to the ones that we have written
Yes. So
ourselves.
basically, you used to make your own notes, right?
Yes.
So can you please share your strategy with the aspirants, because many of the aspirants are actually परेशान कि notes कैसे बनाने हैं. So how you used to do your note making?
Ma'am,
Digitally or handwritten, or what was your strategy with respect to note making? कि सिर्फ क्योंकि हमारे पास बहुत सारा content है, right? And many of the times बच्चे जब notes बनाने लग जाते हैं तो उनके साथ क्या होता है कि they are like creating another you can say कि एक और book बना के रख दी उन्होंने, right?
yes.
So how you used to manage that particular issue?
Yes, ma'am. For that, I preferred digital notes. Like I
Okay.
used to use Evernote app, and the reason for using digital notes is that the current affairs keeps changing, and we can't do that in a handwritten note that I keep erasing or had to write it again. So I used to do digital notes, and in the first draft, the digital notes also tend to get bulky.
Okay.
But as we move on, few things become very easier for us. Like it becomes very stuck in our subconscious mind, so you don't have to recall that again and again. So I used
Okay.
to delete that, so for the last minute revision the notes become very crisp then at that point.
Okay, okay, that's nice. So basically, first draft में तो सबका थोड़ा बहुत notes बल्कि ही
बल्कि
होने
होगा
वाला है,
ही.
but with time we can refine it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, understood. Now let's talk about the phase 2 strategy. As we all know that in phase 2 we have 3 subjects: FM, ESI and English descriptive, right? So first we will be talking about the objective sections, right? So first tell me your strategy with respect to the FM objective, okay? Like how did you manage this section? Because we have 2 sections, finance and management, right?
Yes.
Management is more static, so everyone knows most of the things. Like how did you prepare for both the sections?
Ma'am, for management, as you said, it is very static. So the only thing we have to do is that we are not leaving any chapter aside.
Okay.
Like there should not be any section that you are not good at or you are weak at, because this is a super high scoring area.
Exactly.
So management should be very thoroughly done, and most of the times questions are very straightforward. If you are good with the concept or the definitions, you will be able to answer the management MCQs. For finance, one thing is that going through static notes, and second is supplementing it with the circulars or whatever is happening in the uh, current affairs domain. So supplementing it with that was necessary so that we can answer the MCQs as well.
Okay. So for basically finance, you have focused on RBI circulars, right?
Yes.
And yes, you have complemented it with the finance notes,
Yes.
right? Okay. So finance, actually it's very bulky, right? So how have you classified कि okay, this is the content that I will be reading for the phase 2 and this is the content that I will not be reading, or I will be like, होता है ना प्रायोरिटी करके चलते हैं हम. तो how did you manage? Because phase 1 and phase 2 के बीच में बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं होता है. इस साल थोड़ा सा था, but हमेशा नहीं होता है.
Yes.
So how did you manage that particular thing with respect to finance? Because very technical, very vast. How did you manage?
Ma'am, one thing is that for finance, especially for this reason, I had prepared maximum portion of it even before phase 1. Like
Okay.
when the circular notification was out for RBI around September, my first target was to complete finance syllabus, because this happened with me in 2023 that I had not covered the finance and management syllabus completely,
Okay.
and my phase 2 score was quite poor at that time.
Okay.
So to cover this, this time I prepared finance and and management well even before the phase 1 syllabus.
Okay.
And second part is that for finance and management, we should also look at few areas which are usually neglected, such as the MCQ, numericals on the accounting part.
Accounting.
So because in recent 2-3 years RBI has started asking numericals, though they are easy ones, they are kind of just formula based, but that should not be neglected because it's again a low hanging fruit.
Okay, 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 understood. So basically, you were well prepared for the phase 2, right? Before your phase 1 happened.
Yes, I think
Okay.
because of experience, past
कह
learnings.
सकते हैं past learning is very
Yes.
important, and I hope many students will learn a lot of things from this conversation as well. Now let's talk about FM objective में majorly आपने management के लिए बोला that cover all the syllabus. You cannot leave even a single thing because it is the most scoring subject, right?
Yes.
And for finance, you RBI circulars, SEBI circulars, and you complemented it with the finance static part, right? And for आपने starting में बताया था that RBI circulars and SEBI circulars you covered it for 6 to 8 months, right?
Yes, for phase 2.
Okay, for phase, specifically for phase 2. Okay, now let's talk about ESI objective. ESI objective, we have a lot of areas, like we have government schemes, we have reports, then we have other initiatives as well. Government schemes की ही अगर हम बात करें तो it's so dynamic, it's so vast, right? 200 plus schemes are there. Then we have reports. Reports again very bulky reports. International institution की एक report उठा के देखोगे 300 pages का होता है, right? Then it becomes very difficult for the aspirant. समझ नहीं आता कि कैसे करें, right? So how did you manage this ESI dynamic section? First, we will be talking about government schemes. So please tell me, how did you manage government scheme section?
So, ma'am, for government schemes, I created digital notes where I used to segregate it by ministries, and
Okay.
my focus was on major ministries like from which the schemes are coming, like the Ministry of Agriculture, then Ministry of Finance, then we have RBI schemes. So I used to cover maximum of schemes which are under these ministries,
Okay.
and apart from that, the schemes which are recently in news in the past 4 to 6 months, I used to cover that as well, even if they are from other ministries.
Okay.
And these digital notes I used to keep updating so that I'm acquainted with the recent happenings. So
Okay.
that was one on the schemes part. And like I agree that there are more than 200 schemes, but I had created a 25 or 30 page document. So
Okay.
I just used to go through it again and again, so that I am aware about the numbers. Especially the focus was on the ministry, its outlay, the eligibility conditions, and any recent change.
Okay.
So these were the 4 aspects that I used to focus on for
आपको
every
पता
scheme.
कैसे लगता था कि that these schemes are in the news? How did you used to get that information कि ठीक है ये scheme news में था and I need to cover this scheme?
Ma'am, I used to refer the CGB's material. So
Okay.
this last time RBI asked the questions on scheme in a paragraph format. So I went through the CGB's material, and there was this document where you had created paragraph type questions, and even the schemes were unknown, and some questions were asked on it. So going through that helped me a lot to understand like which schemes are in news recently.
Okay, okay, understood. Now let's talk about reports. And number of reports are there. How did you manage this particular section?
Ma'am, honestly, this is the particular section because of which I got attracted towards CGBMentors material.
Okay.
Because I don't think there is anyone providing such crisp material on reports.
Okay.
You had just 2 PDFs where the summary of all the international reports is given. And going through that helped me a lot because it covers the factual part as well, which is needed for ESI objective.
Yes.
And also there are various thematic questions also covered, which are required for the ESI descriptive part. And this year many questions were there in the ESI descriptive part, which can be answered very well with the material.
Okay.
So that's how I covered the.
So basically, for ESI reports and government scheme, and I think for a lot of things, you totally relied on CGB Mentors platform, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So for how your ESI objective went? इतना preparation करने के बाद कैसा गया आपका ESI objective?
I feel it went like above expectation, I would say.
Okay, that's great.
Because usually ESI is a very difficult
Yes, exactly.
question, I mean section objective, especially since there are a lot of factual questions
Yes, exactly.
asked.
ओके मतलब बहुत स्ट्रेंज लगता है किसे सुनना कि वो कह रहा है कि मेरा अबव एक्सपेक्टेशन से गया, बिकॉज काफ़ी जो सेलेक्टेड एस्पिरेंट्स हैं वो भी ये कहते थे कि हमारा चैलेंजिंग गया था. फिर वी टॉक टू अ लॉट ऑफ अदर एस्पिरेंट्स, दे ऑल्सो सेड कि नहीं, इट वॉज चैलेंजिंग एंड इट वॉज चैलेंजिंग फॉर एवरी एस्पिरेंट, बट स्टिल यू सेड दैट इट वेंट रियली गुड फॉर यू. वंडरफुल थिंग. सो बेसिकली CGB मेंटर्स ने अपना अच्छे से काम किया, इसका मतलब है ना. ओके, नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट डिस्क्रिप्टिव सेक्शन. अगेन 200 marks are dependent on our descriptive writing skills, right? So what was your strategy for FM of descriptive as well and for ESI descriptive as well?
Ma'am, I'll split it into like FM and ESI
Okay,
separately.
okay.
So for management part especially, I had this strategy for writing management questions that in my notes I had created a format where I used to have definitions for every keyword that is there in the
Okay.
management syllabus, so that if there is any question regarding that, I have a standard intro, if not any intro which is very relevant to that question. So I used to start with definitions, and then there are various aspects such as consequences, effects, or causes. So I used to have those in my notes. So whenever there is a question asked about it, I can recall it very quickly.
Okay.
So that was one, and I used to conclude it with some conclusion. But to substantiate our points, I always add any example which is there in the world, so that otherwise management points might look just generic ones.
Yes,
So
exactly.
substantiating it with examples make it kind of valid. So that was my strategy for management.
Okay.
And for ESI, I think my UPSC prep helped a lot there,
Yes, exactly.
because I kind of had that ability to connect the dots. And during my notes preparation, I usually did that. I created a one pager note for every topic that is there in the
That's
syllabus.
great.
So if,
Okay.
for example, if I'm studying on agriculture, then I had like at least 10 facts on agriculture, which will mostly be numeric some facts. Then what are the issues present in the agriculture sector currently, what are the steps that government is taking, what are the schemes that are there regarding agriculture,
Okay.
and what further can the government do. So
Okay.
having this standard layout helped me, because if there's anything asked about agriculture, I could change my points accordingly and answer it well. So that was the strategy for ESI as well.
It's so great to hear your strategy. पिछले 2 साल से हर बच्चे को बता रही हूँ कि देखो थीम बेस्ड कंटेंट बना लेना चाहिए, आइडेंटिफाई द कीवर्ड्स दैट आर देयर इन द सिलेबस एंड प्रिपेयर योर कंटेंट. सी आवर टॉपर इज सेइंग द सेम थिंग. अब तो सुन लो हमारी बात. ओके, सो अभी डिस्क्रिप्टिव राइटिंग की बात कर रहे हैं. सो लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द वर्ड लिमिट. सो काफ़ी बच्चों को लगता है कि क्वालिटी मैटर्स मोर, सम सेज क्वांटिटी मैटर्स मोर. व्हाट इज योर ओपिनियन?
I feel obviously there should be a balance between both,
Okay.
but focus should be more on quality.
Okay.
But मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि आप 400 शब्द के आंसर के लिए बस 200 लिख रहे हो. But if you are writing like 300, 320 word answer, even that is fine if the quality is very good.
Okay. So were you able to match that time word limit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
This time
You
I
did
was
it
able
really
to.
well.
हाँ.
Okay. In 2023 नहीं हो पाया था
हाँ,
क्या?
मतलब 600 शब्द के इसमें मैंने 500 शब्द लिखे थे.
Oh.
तो दैट वाज थोड़ा सा वहाँ पे. एंड इवन फॉर ऐसे आई हैड लाइक अराउंड 400 or 450 words answer only. So this time I was able to achieve it.
Okay, okay. So basically you are saying कि balance होना चाहिए, right?
Yes,
And
definitely.
quality matters more still,
Yes,
है ना?
quality
Okay,
definitely matters
got it. Okay, now let's talk about the interview stage. Now 75 marks का interview होता है. The most I can say threatening stage for many of the aspirants. Many of the aspirants feel कि कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं है, पता नहीं क्या पूछता है इंटरव्यू में. कभी कभी किसी को 3 नंबर 11 नंबर भी देते हैं, ऐसा हो जाता है, राइट? सो व्हाट वाज योर स्ट्रैटेजी विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इंटरव्यू? What were the sources that you have referred specifically for interview? Please share your strategy.
So ma'am, I split the interview preparation into few sections, such as one is questions regarding our biodata. Then there are HR questions, like why do you want to join RBI, questions of that type. Then there are questions regarding RBI, like whatever is happening in RBI domain, banking or central banking domain. And then there is questions regarding your profile, especially like work ex or the graduation that you have done in, and what is its relevance in RBI. So I had to split my preparation into these 4 cases.
Okay.
And I used to prepare like answer for standard questions, and also think about what can be the follow-up, at least first follow-up question that can be asked on the answer that you are preparing.
Okay.
Otherwise what happens is that if the panel asks some follow-up question and we get blank on it, it raises a question on our credibility or authenticity. So at least 1 or 2 level of follow-up questions we should think of.
Okay.
Then for RBI, I referred to a document there is which is there on the RBI website. It's called Functions and Working of RBI.
Okay.
So it's a very good document, a 200-page document, and it explains everything about RBI's functions. So and it can be, I mean, understood by anyone from a non-banking sector as well. So that was a key resource. And apart from that, if I had any doubt, I used to refer to ChatGPT. Then RBI's website is a very good resource. So these were few of the key resources that I referred for interview.
Okay. So resources की बात करें, so you have framed a lot of questions based on your DAF, right?
Yes.
A few HR questions and obviously questions based on your DAF, like work X, what do you do, etc. Right? And you referred RBI website and functions and working document of Reserve Bank of India. So आपने इतने सारे questions prepare करे, you prepared a lot of follow-up questions as well. रियलिटी जब आपने एक्चुअल इंटरव्यू दिया तो कितना मैच किया या कितनी चीज़ें अलग हुई आपके एक्चुअल इंटरव्यू में?
Ma'am, the interview started on lines that I was expecting, fortunately.
Okay, that's
So,
great.
like, the first question was that what are the applications of data analytics in RBI, which was my background.
Okay.
And I had prepared that quite well. So I was able to drive that interview in the direction that I wanted to.
Okay, that's
So,
nice.
like, initial 10 to 15 minutes went around that only.
Okay.
That analytics and what RBI is doing in it, or what kind of insights that we can provide to RBI. So most of the first half revolved around that only.
Okay.
Then apart from that, there were obviously some unexpected questions as well regarding banking, like around LCR or CASA deposits, or what is better among these. So these were kind of some questions that I was not prepared for it.
Okay.
But those come.
Then how did you manage these questions?
Ma'am, I took some time and thought about it, but
Okay.
fortunately, like, I was aware about the basic concepts, so I was able to think like which of these is better and answer them. And obviously, the panel member also helps us if we are thinking in the right direction.
Okay, that's great. So ऐसे जब क्वेश्चन वहाँ पे नहीं आता है तो how did you used to say no to them कि that I don't know? बिकॉज ऐसा होता है ना काफ़ी बारी कि बहुत सारे आंसर्स नहीं भी पता होता हमें सो क्योंकि उस टाइम हम पे प्रेशर खुद भी बनने लग जाता है लाइक हाँ अब हमें लगता है कि पता नहीं ये बारे में क्या सोचेंगे सो हाउ डिड यू मैनेज दैट प्रेशर इन दैट पर्टिकुलर टाइम?
Ma'am, I feel it's okay to say that I'm not aware about it and just show the willingness that I'll go back and read about it. Because obviously no one knows everything.
Yes,
and
exactly.
panel is okay with that. But if we show that just willingness, even to say that I'll go back and read about it, that's fine. And I think panel is more focused on your thought process rather than the factual
Okay.
data that you know. So if you are, and mostly their questions are revolving in that direction only. If you are thinking in the right direction, then panel is good with it.
Okay, understood. Okay, one question I just want to ask, like how our platform help you? वैसे तो आपने बहुत सारी बातें बताई हैं, but still, if you want to add anything.
Ma'am, for phase 2 especially, the material helped me a lot, as I said. And for interview preparation, I was constantly in touch with Ashok sir.
Okay.
So regarding like how do I frame my DAF form, and even like how do I present my profile to the panel, in like for basic questions like why do you want to join RBI, or how does my work experience help in role at RBI. So framing answers for these basic questions, Ashok sir was kind of always there.
Okay,
So that helped me a lot during the interview and phase 2 prep.
Okay. Thank you so much. Any suggestion that you want to give to your future, to our future aspirants? Because you know you have you have given 3 attempts, right?
Yes.
You have managed that pressure, and you were working also. You have managed your time really well, right? So the suggestions that you want to give to the other aspirants, because you know बहुत सारे aspirant हैं, they are struggling, and some of the aspirants are actually unemployed. They are not doing anything right now. Some of the aspirants are working like you, and they are also struggling. So any suggestion? ऐसा होता है ना कि हम अपने छोटे भाई बहनों को suggestion देते हैं ना? Then do you have anything to say to them?
Yes. One thing is that you should have a consistency and a very disciplined approach.
Okay.
Like there is a quote which I always used to have on my phone, that everyone has to go through 2 of the pains. Either it is a pain of discipline or pain of regret.
Yes, exactly.
But the difference is that pain of discipline weighs ounces, whereas pain of regret weighs tons. So having a disciplined approach at this point, even if no matter how difficult it feels, is always better than regretting later.
Yes.
So have a disciplined approach and be consistent in your studies. That's one thing. And secondly, for all these three phases, have a very targeted approach, like what RBI is asking. Go through past question papers, analyze the trends, even for interview, go through the transcripts, and based on that, frame your approach. And secondly, be very dynamic, because in past 2 3 years I have seen that the question paper or the style of framing has changed very drastically. So if we are fixated around just one style of question paper, then it can backfire, because it has happened recently
Yes,
with many
exactly.
candidates, that the paper pattern changed and they got very surprised. So you should not have that kind of approach where you are just stuck with one question paper framing style.
Okay, so understood. Basically, he's just saying that be consistent in your preparation, right? And yes, be well prepared for all the kind of papers, right?
Yes.
So we should not be stick to one pattern only, right? We have to be little bit adaptable, because future of जो RBI officers होते हैं वो थोड़े से adaptable होते हैं, right? So you all also have to be that, right?
Yes.
Okay, चलिए. So finally, we are going to end this session, and I just want to say thank you so much for the wonderful conversation. I hope many of the aspirants will get a lot of insights, deep insights about the preparation, and all the very best for your future endeavors. We wish you all the good luck for your future.
Thank you, ma'am.